A leadership coach is someone who works with a leader to help them become more effective. A leadership coach is trained in leadership and leadership development, and also trained in coaching. And most leaders find it very valuable to work with a leadership coach. Leadership coaches can be a guide, an advocate, they can be a sounding board, a thinking partner, and they can help hold you accountable for those things that you want to do and those things that you want to change. Leadership coaching is like having a personal trainer in leadership. You know, when you expect a trainer, you prepare for them and you practice and you go through your exercises. The same thing with leadership coaching. You prepare for your meeting with the coach. This forces a leader to step back and reflect and think about how they're showing up as a leader and how they want to show up as a leader. It can also be a very creative process. The leadership coaching process can be very creative because a leader can look at things through a new lens and in a different way, and then make a decision to change. And that change is most likely a behavioral change in how they show up as a leader. So let me give you an example of this. I worked with a woman, senior leader, who came to me and said, "I'm a poor communicator." All right, that's a story she's carrying about herself. So let me tell you a little bit about story. We all carry stories in our mind about who we are, and we make stories about our lives so that we can make sense out of our lives. We make meaning out of what's happened to us. So we make these stories, and our brain wants to sort and categorize quickly. And so it says, this is exactly like something else you've done, and it slots it in that category and you move on. This is something Daniel Kahneman, an author of a book, Thinking Fast and Slow, talks quite a bit about. He talks about how our brain wants to conserve energy, so anytime it can make a quick decision, it will. So we hear something, or we have one piece of data, and we may very well make a quick decision so that the brain can go on, because the brain just doesn't want to waste a lot of time. So this woman had come to me and said she was a poor communicator. The first thing I would do is look at the data. Is this a story, or is this based on fact? And this is where the breakthroughs can occur when you challenge the story. So we looked at her data. She'd had a 360 assessment, you know, where everybody weighs in on how somebody is doing as a leader. And in this case, 10 people had given feedback. One of those said she was a poor communicator. Now, we have a tendency to hold on to the negative. Why is that? Because the negative is something that keeps us from being perfect. And so we work that negative and we hold on to it, and it becomes our story. That story then can even make that characteristic worse. Because imagine if you think you're a poor communicator, it impacts your confidence, it impacts how often you speak up. I bet you've had this situation occur with something that you've done. So what we did was look at, hey, there were 9 people who said you were a good communicator. It seems like the preponderance of evidence here is that you're a good communicator. Well, this was an amazing revelation for this person who'd had this story going for a few years. And so she had a breakthrough. Yes, I could look through it and see that the data supports the fact that I am a good communicator. Now, that didn't all of a sudden improve her communication. What we had to do was start practicing her communication in all different venues with this new mindset that then had her show up more articulate, more knowledgeable, and more concise. That is an example of a story that got changed and had a good result.